Hello! So today I'm going to show you how you can join your granny squares with an invisible seam, and this is a very quick and easy method, so it's very suitable for beginners. So apart from your granny squares, you're going to need some scissors, a darning needle and some yarn, and I'll be using a different color so you can see what I'm doing a bit better, but you should be using the same color that you used for your granny squares. So the first thing that we're going to do is cut our yarn, and we're going to need about the length of what we're going to join, and then also a little extra for yarn tails on each end. And so you can cut that off and thread it onto your darning needle. Now you're going to take the first two granny squares that you want to join and hold them with the right sides facing up. And then you're going to put them together like this and make a little granny square sandwich, and the wrong sides are now on the outside and the right sides are inside facing each other. So now let's take a closer look at our stitches. So we know that every single stitch has two little loops, a right and a left loop, same on the other side, a right and a left loop. And when we have our granny squares sandwiched together like this, we will have outer loops on both sides, and we will have inner loops, so the ones that are touching each other. And today we're going to work into the outside loops only, skipping the inside loops. Now find the first corresponding stitches on either side. These are my first two stitches on my granny squares, and make sure everything's aligned. And then you're going to insert your needle into the first outer loop, skipping the inside loops, and then insert into the second outside loop. And then pull your yarn through, leaving a little tail at the end. And now coming from the other side, we're going to repeat the same again. We're going to go into the outside loops only, skipping over the inside loops. And that is basically it. We're just going to continue doing that, going back and forth across the entire granny squares, always working into the outer loops. Now after you have made your very last stitch and your two granny squares are joined, you can open them up and take a look at it from the right side. And now all you need to do is tug on your yarn tail, and that will close up the seam. To join in the next two granny squares, you're simply going to repeat the same steps again, finding the first two corresponding stitches and inserting your needle into the outside loops. And then you can continue from there on. And don't worry about the yarn in the middle being a bit loose. You can fix all of that once you have finished joining the granny squares. When you have finished joining the next two granny squares, again just pull on the yarn tail and close up the seam. Next we want to start joining the granny squares in the other direction, and to do that we're simply going to make a little granny square sandwich again with the right sides facing in and the wrong sides facing out. And now just start joining the granny squares like normal, and I'll meet you once we have reached this little middle section right here. Now I have joined my first two granny squares and I have one stitch left to make. So to ensure that I get no gaps in the middle section, I like to use a little trick, and that is to find the corner stitches that I have already sewn into when I was sewing it up the other direction, and sew into those again. So I'm going to find these corner stitches, and that can sometimes be a little bit tricky to identify the right ones, so just take your time here. And I'm going to stitch into these again. And again on the other side I'm going to do the same thing, find the corner stitches that I've already sewn into and make a stitch into these as well. And that is going to ensure that you get no gaps in the middle section. And when you have finished doing that, you're just going to continue on like normal, finding the corresponding stitches on your next 2 granny squares and sewing into the outer loops. And now all that's left to do is weaving in all your ends on the wrong side of your work. You can also secure them with a little knot. And that is it. Then you're done. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.